All right, let's shift gears, and I'm going to answer a few questions that I received from you recently. First question comes from Shelly. Shelly says, hello, Mrs. McBean. If you are asked at your green card interview whether or not you have worked without authorization, and you have, will that cause someone to be denied, especially if they have paid taxes and their proof is to show one has worked? So here's the thing. If, Shelly, you're in your green card interview, you've applied for adjustment of status. On that I-485 application, it does ask you, have you ever worked without authorization? And if you have, you have to say yes, it's the truth, right? You don't want to lie on that. You don't want to commit fraud. So you say yes, and certainly during your interview it will come up again. But just, you guys should know that there is an exception for those who are married to U.S. citizens or immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. Don't face a hard time with respect to this issue when they're being interviewed, because the rules say that the government can look the other way, essentially, if you've worked without authorization. But I always tell my clients, listen, we're going to tell the truth. We're going to tell the truth, and we're going to say yes. And in most cases that I've dealt with, the adjudicating officer did not give us a hard time about this issue, mainly because the individual is an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. But if they do give you a hard time about this, because you're not an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, they may say to you, you have an issue of inadmissibility here that you need to ask for forgiveness for. And so they may ask you to file a waiver to ask for forgiveness for this. But friends, the government knows certainly that people have to work. People are working. My point is, tell the government the truth. You've got to answer that question correctly during that interview, and also on that I-485. Next question comes from Sonia. Sonia says, I filed for my son who lives in London. Last April, made 4 years since she filed. They asked for his divorce papers about 2 months ago. She sent it in, but it hasn't been approved yet. What can she do going forward? So Sonia, what can be done going forward? I would say, number one, you're doing a great job already cooperating with them, giving them what they're asking for. Secondly, as far as it being 4 years and nothing much has happened yet, it could very well be because he's just on that long waiting list. Because if he's over 21 and right now he's divorced, so he's unmarried, and you've updated the record on that, so he still is going to face a long time, right, based on the visa bulletin. I don't have that in front of me right now, but look at the visa bulletin for November to see what the government is up to for that F1 category. Your son probably was in the third preference category for married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. They're over 21, married, and they're the children of U.S. citizens. Those children have a long wait. But it looks like they changed, his category would have changed from F3 to maybe F1 now, right? Because he's unmarried. So his wait time should decrease. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pull up the November bulletin, because I want to make sure that you know the wait time is. So November bulletin, visa bulletin, says that for the F1 category, unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizen, the government is up to petitions that were filed as of March 2013. 2013. So yours was just filed 4 years ago. So your son still has quite a bit of wait there. That's what the government is up to, March of 2013. There's nothing more that you can do at this point but to wait, but that's the F1 category. Before, when he was in the F3 category, the government is only up to October 2007. So obviously that's what a 12-year wait period it looks like for the F3. So he moved from F3 to F1, cut his wait time significantly. Next question comes from Faisal. He says, we love each other, but we're a different religion. I'm a Muslim and she's a Christian. Can I get a K-1 visa? Please tell me the details. Great question about different religions here. and the K-1. I don't know what country you're in though, because really I must say that the experience at US embassies vary across the board, depending on where you are. In some countries, they are really, really harsh on people who are applying for the K-1 and they're from different religious backgrounds, because those embassy officials are thinking to themselves, wait a minute, how is this relationship going to work? Is this even real? Can a Muslim and a Christian come together? Is this going to happen? This isn't real. Those biases can come into play as they're interviewing you. They're not supposed to be biased, but it does happen. What I would say to you is, if your fiance is of a different religion than you, then you need to be prepared to talk about how you guys are reconciling these differences. I mean, where are you going to get married when you come to the US? Are you going to get married in the church or in a mosque or at the courthouse? Or, how are you guys going to raise the children? You got to have a plan. In other words, you've got to be prepared when you go in for that K-1 interview. Be prepared with concrete steps in terms of, well, not steps, but be very clear about how you guys have reconciled the differences with your faith and why the fact that she's Christian doesn't matter, right? But the reality is it does matter, right? Truly. If there are problems with your family not accepting her because of her faith, those issues can really kind of come up during that interview, and you really don't want that. So preempt it by having a plan, by having at least 3 or 4 bullet points where you're going to get that question about the religion, and here's how you're going to tackle that. Here's what you're going to say, because for you guys in your modern relationship, it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Maybe she's a nominal Christian or Catholic and not really practicing, or maybe you're not very religious, right? Those are things that you can say if they're the truth. Actually, my fiance is really not very religious, or it doesn't matter to us. You have to have a concrete plan of action. This is an issue. Yes, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. A bias officer can look at that negatively and think the relationship is not real. But if you have very clear answers for how you and your fiance are overcoming this difference between the two, I think you can still succeed. Friends, thanks so much for watching this video. Comment below, send me more of your questions. I'm happy to tackle them. Subscribe to McBean Immigration TV. And friends, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.